playoffs this season?
Well, typically goalie is your best killer, so that's been the case for us. Block shots, I think, have been excellent. We're long, so we have good sticks around the net. And I think the timing of our penalty kills have been mostly pretty good in terms of not having to kill 2 or 3 in a row very often where you get exhausted, because we do, like a lot of teams, use a lot of the same guys. So I'd say those are the 3 biggest reasons. I think it was pretty solid most of the year. I think the numbers were down this year from typically other years, and some of that had to do with Z being out for a long stretch, Berge out, some of our top guys. So I think those are the reasons.
Front left. Bruce, when you have a really good effort like you did last night where everything seems to be clicking, is it hard to duplicate that the next game, similar to golf where you shoot a career low and then the next time you play you can't make a putt?
Well, I don't think we did everything great, to be honest with you. I think we were very opportunistic, obviously our power play. We did enough things well early to get the lead, extend the lead. But in the second period, we didn't manage the puck as well as we'd like. So there's clearly always stuff we can work on. Some of the adjustments we made with our breakout I thought worked out well for us at times. So I think there's certainly still a lot of room to elevate our game. We're happy with it, don't get me wrong. But it was far from perfect. I think our guys recognize that. So that should be the mindset. We talked about that a little bit this morning on a few video clips, and guys are out there working now. And hopefully tomorrow we're even better in the areas that we need to be better in.
Pass the mic to your left.
Bruce, it seems like St. Louis has been tempting you guys a little bit to try to take retaliatory penalties. How would you rate the composure of your team while still maintaining your own physicality through these first 3 games?
I think it's been excellent, to be honest with you. I think Tuukka leads the way. They've, kind of bumped into him a few times. He's just, focused on stopping the puck, not worrying about that, some of the sideshow stuff. Done a real good job with that. I think the rest of the players too. I think we might have pushed back the odd time. It's human nature. In these playoffs, Z got taken off the ice, I think, by Maroon in a little exchange down low, and we were going on the kill. So we hate to see us lose our best killer. So whether that was by design or not, that's an area you probably got to skate away. But at the end of the day, Z also wants to stand up for himself. So players are given the leeway to defend themselves. But I think for the most part, we've stayed away from that, tried to play between the whistles, not get caught up in that, put ourselves at a disadvantage.
Right side there, bro.
Bruce, when you make adjustments on the power play, as you guys did before Game 3, how much of Torey's ability to adjust on the power play goes into your decision-making, and what his range of skills, I guess, on the power play allows you to decide what to do?
Well, he's probably the guy I'll go to first in terms of what he's seeing, because he's up top, he moves around a lot, puck runs through his hands quite a bit. So that'll start with him. Can we get that play into Berge from the top or from the half wall? Because we want to try to get a slot shot. So that's usually the first conversation. Can we get it through to Pasta? How low does he need to be? And that usually involves Marshy because he's on the half wall. Our net front guy will move around, but, Jake's pretty, his job stays the same most days. Retrieve pucks, screen the goalie when we're shooting, or present your stick when we're running plays from the elbow. So, but getting back to it, I think Torey's the biggest one because he handles it more. His lateral mobility is excellent. He can walk. If we need him to, not go to the half wall, walk to the middle of the ice, very comfortable faking that pass like he did on the first goal, or dishing it there if he has to, or moving right into that spot, interchanging with Marsh. So we're lucky to have a guy like that. I can relate to Torey because, way back when, that's the position I played. So it's easy. Their conversations are pretty fluid now and easy. We're on the same page.
Right side, 4th row.
Bruce, kind of a big picture thing here, but excuse me. How would you describe the, small community that exists among you and your fellow coaches in Boston, and what have you learned just from being in the orbit of guys like Bill, Brad, Alex?
Well, I've gotten to know them a lot more recently. Brad, a little different because we share a building, so I've sat down and talked to him through the course this year, last year, when we've had some, double-header games where our paths cross. We share now a practice facility. They're across the street. The other coaches you don't run into as much, but there's been phone conversations. Bill was at the game the other night, was waving the flag, and like I said, it was great to spend some time with him before the game. So I believe it'll get closer knit now that I've gotten to know these guys. But in general, I think it's always been real strong. I mean, Claude was good friends with Bill. Claude was there for years, so obviously nurtured those relationships. Alex is relatively new. So I think there's always a common goal, and that is the pressure to win and the expectations in Boston. So we all kind of feel the same thing, which is a good thing. You want those. So it's bringing us closer together, and hopefully I can join them with a championship.
Do a few more questions, back right.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned yesterday that the Blues have this ability to bounce back. They did so in Game 2. They've done it throughout the postseason. How do you guys prepare for that expected pushback to ensure you guys still play your game?
Well, it started today. I think the video session was things we need to get better at, things where we allowed them opportunities to get back in the game, and we fortunately got a save or they rung one off the crossbar or post. So that was step one, about the magnitude of decision-making. I don't doubt our players' courage, compete, any of that. We're here for a reason. They have the same strengths in that area. It's just decision-making with the puck. How you allow teams, some of it's discipline, getting back for them getting back on the power play. That's how the teams get back in the game. And usually it's mismanaging pucks, giving up odd man rushes. So we've talked about that all year and how to play winning hockey. So we talked about that at 1 o'clock today. Guys are on the ice preparing for tomorrow. Some will go on tomorrow morning. So that's our approach. It hasn't changed much. Maybe after Game 1 we weren't going into Game 2 maybe determined enough with the players about how St. Louis would bounce back. But listen, a lot of teams got to live it on their own. We did Game 2, so we should be much better prepared for a response in Game 4 and see how we react.
Left side standing up.
Bruce, there's obviously always a lot of activity at the trade deadline, and almost always it doesn't work out, but sometimes it really does, and it seems to have in the case of obviously with Coyle and Johansson this year. What can you say about how seamless that transition has been and what they've been able to add to the fabric of your team?
Well, I think for Charlie, there's a bit of an adjustment. He'd played both center and wing. We wanted him to play center, and then he came in, and we had a few injuries, so he ends up on the right side a little bit with Krejci, because that was another hole we filled. That was Johansson. He got hurt, so we moved Coyle there. We were still fighting for playoff positioning, so I think it took Charlie a while to sort of, for me, I guess, to drop him into exactly where we need to be for the playoffs, right or wrong. And he did play center and had played a lot of center in his career, so it wouldn't be unfamiliar to him. But our system's different than Minnesota. He's pointed that out. So that's where we lost a little bit. But then once we got going, he's been excellent for us. Secondary offense has, been, I don't know, pick your word. I mean, it's paramount to our success, the bottom of our lineup, scoring goals, timely goals. He's part of that. Johansson came in, found his way. He was right wing with us because of talked about the Krejci DeBrus. We wanted to fill that, put him on the left with Charlie. They seem to have some chemistry, moved a few other pieces around, and it's been a nice fit for us. But they're also guys that have played in the league. They understand what's at stake. JoJo was close in Washington, watched his good friends and teammates win last year, so I think he feels that, he missed out on that, and this is his opportunity. So they've, had a little more motivation in that regard.
We'll do 2 more questions, right side.
Yeah, you've talked about the milk crate incident with Tuukka Rask. I'm just wondering, some goalies can thrive on being emotional, but in your mind, did he need to develop that poise to find this kind of success?
Well, I think he's always had composure. He just, back when he was younger, like a lot of guys, his focus wasn't as it is now. So he had a couple, the one incident. It's a beauty. That's why we talked about it. It's great. I don't think it rattles him when I bring it up. I hope it doesn't. I don't want to get in my own goalie's head, but it was a long time ago, and we were all there. I think he jokes about it back then. Now it's, like a lot of things 10 years ago, you forget about it. And he's dialed in this playoff. He knows what's at stake. He's been through 2 of them, one as a backup, one as a starter against the Hawks, and he wants to flip the script this time around. So I think that's what you're seeing out of Tuukka. Like I said, just a more mature person, which should be the case when you age, what was that, 10 years ago? So, or 8, 9, 10 years, and it shows in his play. And I think St. Louis has tried to, get in there as tight as they can. And he's just kind of played through it, played hard between the whistles. Not hard, but focused, and stopping the puck between the whistles. And I don't think it's affected him at all, at least right now, going out to play pucks and doing what he has to do.
Butch, you've coached Noel Acciari for a long time, going back to the Providence days. What makes him such a special player?
His will to win, his ability to do all the little things, kill penalties, block shots, finish checks. If there's a shift that requires some of the dirty work, he's a guy that's first in line, willing to do it, stays out of the box doing it. Very infrequent does he ever have to sit in the box for 2 minutes, and he plays one of the harder games in our team. He's a clean checker, and I think that's what endears him to his teammates as well. Guys are always rooting for Noel. He can finish some plays. We don't use him in that role. When we first had him in Providence, we ended up using him with some skill guys to grow that part of his game. I think he ended up with 10 goals last year. I'm not sure what it was this year. So he can chip in that regard. But it's predominantly the hard minutes. He relishes matchups against top players, and he can play center or the wing. He's real good down low at center. We have Corrali down there, but they're interchangeable. So I think that's what makes him valuable, especially this time of year when you got to shut down good players.